open. How you guys doing? Here I'm None here, and we're here to talk today about the 3.2.0 Clockwork City update and the patch notes and what this all means to us and how things are going to be horrible from now on forever because stuff changed. Yeah. All right. So let's get ourselves started here. Okay. So first off, welcome to 3.2.0 Clockwork City, so still legendary creation. Explore the mysterious mechanical world. In addition to these new quests, you come across two new role bosses, 2 delves, 12-player trial Asylum Sanctorium, and we've also included 12 new item sets, two motifs, 20 new furnished items, a host of new items, and clothes. And they've already pissed off people. For players with the ESO Morrowind, we also have a new battleground called Crazy King, where your team must seize a capture point that's randomly placed on the map. And it's well crazy. Okay. Finally, got the highly anticipated transmutation system. So all you people who have gotten training gear or anything else like that, you're going to be able to take this and use transmute anything in the world and using different traits. People are going to complain about it. And so new character templates. I can't wait to see what you think of it. 3.7 gigabyte size. We've already got loaded, and we have that ready after we get through this. So, some of the basics here. Clockwork City, Venture the Bizarre Realm of Sothasil, the Clockwork God, the Member Tribunal. The machine world is rife with frightening and alien dangers. Lurking behind metallic deserts and artificial trees, with only tiny pockets of citizens able to carve out a quasi-religious society, valued enlightenment, experimentation, enumeration, detached benefactor. A dark conspiracy threatens the integrity of Clockwork City, and the signs of powerful Daedric relic manifesting in the realm draw an interesting eyes towards Sothasil's domain. So basically, Daedric stuff is happening. Everyone's wondering what the hell it is, and you get pulled in here because of the Mages Guild quest lines. Mage Guild quest lines. Sorry. Brass Fortress. Go to the Clockwork City. Eventually, the Brass Fortress. Center of the city itself is one place of the Clockwork Apostles, etc. You have the Tarnished here, which are basically people that don't agree with Sothasil. But since he's a benevolent god, he gives them a place to stay anyways. And they're living in slums. Alright. So the 2 bosses here, we have the Sanctuary of the Verification. So Thistle's distant ruler that experiments has the Imperfect. And he's supposed to get perfect as he kills and destroys and gets remade every time. The Exarch's Egress, an unknown Daedric force, is creeping through the Clockwork City, bringing a new type of Daedric monster, the Wraith of Crows. And that is a murder of crows if it's a group, right? Through the mysterious remote gate, you can travel to the Daedric remote realm that houses militant monsters and battle triumphant. I can't even pronounce that. Just to basically go kill these monsters. Delves, you have a holo of regulation, an artificial environment. The Clockwork City requires a breath of air, portable water, processing waste. Basically, it's a big giant vault. It's just in ESO. So basically, that's the thing, and this hollow regulation is where they do all that stuff, and it's broken. So you have to go in and fix it up. Shadow Cleft, a dark artery of the Clockwork City, has found the Shadow Cleft toward the western half of the zone. Nightmare creatures and things that go bump in the night lurk in the strange place, where the several enterprising Clockwork Apostles disappeared and attempted to discern as true masters. Have you figured out who the Daedric entity is at this point? If you haven't figured it out yet, we'll figure it out pretty soon here. And this is like the biggest spoiler right here. But if you have issues with that, just don't read on and don't watch these videos. Anyway, new sites to explore. So the Everwound Wellspring, as most of Clockwork City is made of metal oil. Find a place to grow. They have a basic garden here that you're trying to help furnish. The Mnemonic Play Sphere, being gods of neural distractions. Sothasil has done stuff with his memories. You have to go find it. This is Planisphere here. And as you go through the quest line, you're going to find his memories and restore this place and all that good stuff. Now, the interesting stuff that people are probably all talking about right now is the new trial, Asylum Sanctorium. This has new weapons. It's a 12-man trial. It involves going in and killing various bosses And getting the hard mode gets you the perfect asylum weapons. If you don't kill them in hard mode, you basically get the imperfect weapons. You can get the imperfect weapons even on normal mode, which is kind of a step back from some of the stuff that they used to have. Basically, you could only get stuff on veteran mode, and you didn't have to do it on hard mode. But now, they basically focused on hard mode and made it so that everyone still gets a reward for doing the lower levels. Okay, that doesn't seem too bad. So, there's a veteran version of this, all skill lines. So these asylum weapons are also skill augmenting, which basically means it gives an extra effect to a skill that you already have. They've also changed the previous master weapons and VMA weapons, which is going to upset some of you. It made it up to some of the DPS, but from what people have been telling me, there's stuff that's still not fixed on PTS, and it's not giving the correct numbers. Okay. So, unique achievements, etc. Asylum effective weapons. Okay, as much as masters and maelstrom weapons before, the asylum perfect asylum weapons alter and improve effects of your weapon skill lines. Perfect asylum weapons have the benefit of same benefit as imperfect, but with greater magnitude. Perfect asylum weapons are only available if intrepid heroes conquer the hardest mode of the Sanctum Ophidian. St. Olms, with both of his allies fighting at the same fighting alongside. If you choose to go ahead and kill either one of his allies beforehand, you're basically doing it in simple mode or easy mode instead of doing the hard mode. And they're talking about different things here. You can also get different stuff dropping on this as well, which is kind of interesting. Now, one thing I dislike about this is the fact that you get two new items. You get the asylum weapons, okay, so that's the first thing. But then you also get armor sets here, and the armor sets aren't great. All right, they're equivalent to what you would have gotten through Thieves Guild stuff or Dark Brotherhood stuff, but they drop in the trial. But you can get the same stuff through doing the questing and all that stuff. So it kind of makes me wonder, what's the point of getting the trial gear if I can just do a daily and get the same trial gear, right? Like every other time, like you do something, you get special equipment that's only for that trial. That's my first gripe with this, because you take a look at like Dragonstar Arena, Maelstrom Arena, Maw of Lorcage, Aetherian Archive, Hellra, Sanctum Ophidia. All these drop unique armor sets that are only for those trials. This drops trial weapons, but other things like VMA and Dragonstar Arena drop trial weapons as well as their own unique sets. Kind of think they dropped the ball and didn't give us another set for that. How you doing, man with beard? But yes, defeating St. Olms with low-sum reward for blue quality, normal, or purple quality veteran asylum weapons. And just to the above, St. Olms, his two allies will receive blue quality or purple quality armor piece, a jewelry from the Clockwork item sets. So again, I think that they really should have given, in addition to the asylum weapons, another armor set here to kind of round it out. Am I doing PTS? I will be, but like I said, gamer, we're going to be taking a look at the solo to start off with, and some of the group content will come up later. Okay, new collectibles. The Signature Doa this non-combat pet will join you when you set foot in the Brass Fortress. Okay, just like the other stuff. Begone. Attain this emote by completing the Lost Gloom City, Clockwork City. Umbra Projector. This memento is acquired from completing the achievement, the Hero of Clockwork City. Okay. Revolving Sensordrome. A unique furnishings obtained from this quest, the Light of Knowledge in Clockwork City. So you're actually getting furnishings now as part of some of these quests. Alright. Bust. St. Olms of the Just. Furnishings for detaining St. Olms. Okay, so basic trial rewards. Sanctified Silver. The skin is available for defeating St. Olms and his allies in the same battle on veteran mode. Standard trial stuff. Clockwork Curator. This polymorph is rarely available as a room box. Dropped from defeating St. Olms in silent mode, St. Torums, with his allies in the same battle on veteran mode. So you have to do hard mode it is a rare drop for this polymorph for the Clockwork Curator. Okay, that's interesting right there. Okay, now to go over some of the item sets here. There's 12 new item sets available through variety of sources. The item set, 3 item sets are now available through crafting stations, 3 item sets through drops through the Clockwork City, and 6 item sets available through the new Trial Asylum Sanctorium. But this is a little thing. These item sets are only weapon item sets. They're not actually like full armor sets here. So some interesting stuff here. The crafted stuff. The innate axiom. Magicka stamina, 2-piece and 3-piece. 4-piece is spell critical and weapon critical. And then 5, add 400 spell damage and weapon damage to your class abilities. ZOS has this thing, this latest push on Vanderfall, to be doing hybrid stuff here a lot. Not sure if I agree with this. Not sure if this is going to do a whole lot to help us either. Like part of the issue that you have with hybrid stuff in general, just it doesn't work out because, one, the buff that you give on like the weapon and spell damage here to cast abilities is not high enough to justify this. Now, if this was higher, I don't know, maybe 500, 600, maybe it might be high enough to do it, but you're splitting your cost off and you're splitting your cost off, you're splitting your weapon damage off on your other abilities, and you're splitting your critical off as well. In min-maxers, they're not going to use this for PvE. It just won't help unless you have a significant amount of weapon or spell damage to it. In addition to that, PvP, this might help, but really PvP comes down more to resources. So is this going to be used? I don't know. I can't see it being used. Maybe you guys can prove me wrong. Maybe there's a build out here that can use this in a meaningful way, but I don't see it. Fortified brass, health, physical resistance, spell resistance, and then 5-piece, adding physical and spell resistance on top. This is interesting. This looks like a tank set. Not sure if it's going to be used that much, to be honest, though, because a lot of tank metas are not. We're capped at currently like 30k spell resistance and physical resistance. Typically, you can reach that using a Bloodspawn helmet and major and minor ward. So you only have to have about 21k resistance on your armor. And if you have heavy armor plus it's reinforced, you're hitting that max already. So do I really need a 3-piece, 4-piece, and then another 5-piece to give me more resistance? I don't think so. I mean, unless I'm doing light armor, maybe, or maybe medium armor. But even then, that'd be kind of stupid because then I'd lose the passes that I'd be getting through heavy armor with the block reduction anyways. So, interesting, but I think they have to raise the physical and spell resistance caps for this to be useful. Or have a fight that specifically requires that you stack on that much resistance. And we don't have that many fights there that do that. Mechanical acuity, all weapon damage and spell damage. Max stamina, max magicka. When you deal damage, you have 50% chance to unerring mechanical visions for 5 seconds, causing you to always your attacks to always critical strike. This effect can occur once every 18 seconds. See, this is a little closer to what you'd actually expect to be a hybrid build here, because this 15% for the always critical damage means that you don't have to worry about your critical damage. You can stack up your damage and your resources to help. But still, that 5 seconds for but 18 seconds only every 18 seconds. Not sure if that's good enough for an actual build that's going to help anyone. And typically, crits inside PvP. I mean, you get a crit for using crit rush. You get a crit for doing it from stealth, but you don't get any benefit for hitting criticals on players from stealth. And I don't know, for 5 seconds, can you get enough hits in that it's going to be worthwhile? Plus, everyone's stacking impen. I don't see it working out that well. So these sets don't look to be best in slot for PvE, and don't look to be that helpful for PvP, to be honest, either. Maybe you guys can show me something different, but not excited about it. All right, now for the drop set. You have 3 new sets as well. Kind of a rough bag of poop. So Magic Tinkerer Light, spell critical, spell damage. Okay, that looks good, but 5-piece. When you deal damage, you have 10% chance to summon a Vermin Fabricant that charges the nearest enemy, dealing 10,000 shock damage to all enemies in its path, knocking them up in the air, stunning them for 2 seconds. This effect can occur every 10 seconds. Not great. And I'll tell you why. Because all proc sets basically cannot crit. And a lot of damage you get from PvE side is on your crit base. Typically crit builds and DPS builds are 50% plus crit. If you're doing this in PvP, okay, so first it's coming to the nearest enemy and trying to go after that guy. That doesn't mean there's going to be anyone in between unless that guy specifically runs back into his group and is going, help me, and then just sabotages his own people. Then 10,000 shock damage on top of that, if it's affected by Battle Spirit, is only 5,000 damage. So that's already well below. But if it's 10,000 damage, okay, that might be interesting. It might be damaging, but it's once every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. 10k might hit hard, but not enough that people can't heal through it. The stun would help, but you can't necessarily affect them when it's going to go over. And it's every 10 seconds. 10% chance on top of that. I don't know. I don't think it'll be useful unless it's doing that 10k shock damage. And again, it has to be something where that damage isn't reduced for PvP. And if it isn't reduced for PvP, then people will be running it as a proc set build. People will be complaining about all the damn time. And Zoss will nerf it anyways. So, not liking it at all. Like, again, proc sets and pet sets just do not work in either set right now with the current meta. Available to Darkness, medium. Weapon critical, physical penetration, weapon damage. This is actually interesting with the physical penetration right here. That weapon critical physical penetration, that actually might make it worthwhile to put on for 3 set at least. Now, when you do damage, you have a 10% chance to call Murder of Crows are on you for 12 seconds. So you can murder people with a Murder of Crows. Every 3 seconds, the crows will be sent to peck the closest enemy within 12 meters of you, dealing 4,000 physical damage. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. Again, another proc set, it cannot crit. For every 3 seconds, the closest enemy within 12 meters to you. So for 12 seconds, so every 3 seconds, so 4 times 4, you'd be 16k damage. Might be interesting for PvP only because it may go after a guy in stealth. Something else like that, but that's again when you deal damage. And it's a ranged ability here, so you're gonna have to be close to the enemy to do this too. And it's not adding anything to your other abilities here. Like the thing that you have to remember, if you have a 5-piece like this, where you deal damage and it's doing all that stuff, that means you're not putting in Huntings, which is giving you weapon damage. You're not using Draugr, which is not giving you stamina. You're not using Spriggan, or you're not using Night Mother, which is giving you physical penetration and possibly buffing it for everyone else to give them physical penetration. None of that. You're only doing damage, and it's only happening every 15 seconds. So it's not good for PvE, and PvP might be interesting to get some stealthers out, but not that great. The physical penetration, though, might be only saving grace on this set. So if you need 4 pieces to run, then you probably run this with weapon critical, physical penetration, and weapon damage, and take that into account. Finally, Livewire. Heal taken, max health, heal taken. When you take damage, you have 25% to overload your circuits, applying concussion to enemies within 8 meters around you, and healing you for 1,000 health for each enemy hit. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds. Might be an interesting PvP set, but it's 2 heal taken. So you're not getting any stamina and you're not getting any health. So you're probably going to have somebody there as a pocket healer to heal you. Might be interesting with some of the AA sets that have similar effects that heal based on how many people are hitting you. And it doesn't say how many people it caps at, too. So if you have 20 people hitting you all at once, does that mean you can get 20k health? Maybe? I don't know. That'd be something to answer, but is it great? Not really. That health is really low for what it does. Okay, Asylum, Sanctum, Asylum weapons, perfected versions, etc. So they give you both perfected and non-perfected for each one of these here. So Chaotic Whirlwind. When you deal damage with Whirlwind, add 10 seconds to your active Twin Slashes, Lacerate, Blade Cloak, Overtime effects. This effect can occur once per cast of those abilities. So the thing that confuses me on this, I'll have to test this out. When you deal damage with Whirlwind, you add 10 seconds to your active Twin Slash, Lacerate, Blade Cloak, Overtime effects. Once per cast of those abilities. So, basically, you get all three of those on top, and then you cast Whirlwind, and give another 10 seconds on top of that. Might be interesting. Twin Slash, Lacerate, and Blade Cloak. To remember Lacerate. Lacerate's the ultimate, right? So yeah, your damage over time effect would be increased on that. Don't know if it's going to actually be meta enough to be useful. Definitely think it might be useful for PvP in certain effects there. But you'd have to. When you deal damage to Whirlwind, 10 seconds to your active overtime effects once per cast of those abilities. See, the thing that makes me wonder here is if I cast it. Does it have to be the person that I cast it on, or can it be on somebody else and then have it double on that? Well, more than likely, if I'm going to hit somebody else in the same area, it'll all be on the same Whirlwind, right? See, the reason I ask that is because Blade Cloak here, Lacerate. Well, Blade Cloak's on self, so don't have to worry about that. But Lacerate is on multiple enemies here, too. So if you do a Whirlwind on them, does it increase 10 seconds on every enemy that you had there? In addition to that, Lacerate also can give health back, too. And so does Twin Slash, so you might be getting a lot more health back with that, too. Interesting. So, yeah, it does all this stuff here with the Whirlwind. I'm kind of interested in it, but I don't know if it's going to be meta enough for it to be good inside of a trial build. 8 seconds on it for the imperfected version. Is that enough to change the meta? I don't know. A lot of trial builds, a lot of DPS PvE builds do work off of dots like this. Getting and you're getting increased time here just kind of makes sense. But I'm trying to think of the bar build on this because you have to use Twin Slash, Lacerate, Blade Cloak, maybe two or three class abilities as well. Then you swap over to back bar bow and use that. That's really weird. Can't say if it's going to be good or bad. I'm going to guess that people are going to say it's going to be bad until they find out there's something broken with it. Concentrated Force. Force Shock always applies burning, concussion, and chilled status effect. This effect can only occur once every 4 seconds per enemy. Effect can occur every 5 seconds per enemy. I don't know if this is actually that great for, I'm not sure. This might be good. This might be good for PvP. I don't know for PvE if it's not that great, though. That burning is going to do damage, right? The concussion will help. The chill effect will slow them down, but not do a lot of damage like that. Plus, would you want people running this? I don't know. I don't think so. I think you probably still want people using VMA destruction weapons. Like, again, you probably only want one person, but I mean, if everyone's running Force Shock anyways as part of their meta, they probably already have burning and concussion going on anyways. Chilled status effect wouldn't matter because you wouldn't use it with Ice Staff, but again, I can't see this being anywhere useful. Oh, let's also talk on one other thing too. This is for fire, lightning, and ice staffs. Ice staffs now heavy attack. When you heavy attack, you taunt an enemy and also block. You take up magicka. Why do we not see an asylum weapon that is defensive for tanks? Like if we're going in and we're accepting that ice stabs are the meta for tanking, why don't we see a specific asylum weapon here embracing that and giving benefits to tanking? That's again, Zoss, like why do we not see that? Like why do we still have fire and lightning stabs doing this but not giving benefits to tanking? It's been 3 patches at this point that we made that change, and we're still not kind of embracing it. Now, defensive position. When you absorb or reflective spell projectile with defensive posture, you now restore 200 magicka. If defensive posture expires without the reflecting or absorbing spell projectile, you now restore 5,000 magicka instead. Okay, this is going to make it very interesting for tank builds, I think. Basically, it makes it so that you have a delayed over time magicka restoration ability for magic builds that are using sword and board. Probably pretty useful for a DK tank, especially in PvP, and it also makes it so that you have something else to get magicka to if you're getting active attacks on you too. So I think it's going to be broken inside PvP, especially for Templars and DK tanks. Not sure about everyone else though. Also, the difference on this is basically 2,000, 5,000, and in the imperfect, 18 and 4,500. Discipline Slash. When you deal damage with Reverse Slash, you generate 15 ultimate based on how much execute bonus is dealt. And in the non-perfect, 14 ultimate based on how much execute damage is dealt. Damn, that's going to be really meta inside PvP, I feel. That's basically a DK tank, which is running either the two-handed ultimate, take flight, or what's the other one? Take flight, or a Dawnbreaker. Sorry, basically really low cost ultimates. They're going to be eating this up. Basically, you have 100 ultimate that you need there. You have 15 ultimate from this. You have Werewolf Hide, Tavas, Bloodspawn maybe. Or maybe, Fury. Let's say Fury, Werewolf, and Bloodspawn. Just generating ultimate out the wazoo. Maybe you put the two-handed ability on there that gives you ultimate back if you execute them. That's just going to keep on going and going and going. And finally, Piercing Spray. Oh no, 2 more. Sorry. Piercing Spray, which is our bow ability. When you deal damage with Arrow Spray, you cause enemies to take 50% more damage from the direct damage portion of your next snipe, scatter shot, or poison arrow for 5 seconds. See, I see this being useful for like using Arrow Spray for the 50% and then using poison arrow. Like, happy night. The snipe though, the snipe has a good like 2-second cast time, and then you're saying within 5 seconds. So you got to do 50% more damage. You're gonna have to hit something with Arrow Spray, and then do a snipe. It just doesn't make sense. Like you have to either increase the time or do something else with that. In the imperfect version, you get 45% more damage. But yeah, I don't see this being that useful for snipe at all. Scatter shot, maybe. Poison arrow, maybe. And finally, the healing staff version. We class Blessing of Protection. The cost of your Grand Healing, Regeneration, or Steadfast ward used within 5 seconds is reduced by 50%. This can actually be fairly nice because basically you cast Blessing of Protection once and then you reduce the cost of your other stuff for 5 seconds. So you cast your Blessing, rotate in. You probably can get Grand Healing or Regeneration off, or Grand Healing and Steadfast done. Or if you're really fast with your animation cancel, you might be able to get off all 3 done at the same time. So you get that at half cost of what it is now. So all these, I don't feel are going to be best in slot meta stuff for trials at all. Some of these might be interesting for PvP. I'd be interested to see what the dual wield stuff would affect DPS builds. But the rest of it, most of it seems PvP based. New targeting dummy, the precursor. So they basically have a new precursor based on the Clockwork City, which is kind of interesting. Added 2 new motifs to the Clockwork City. The Apostle style, which is once known only to Silthisil's disciples, now available for crafters. And then the Adlin Shadow style, emblematic of Nocturnal, is also now available for crafters. Now, we're talking about a strange Daedric entity that is now invading inside Silthisil's realm. And they made it a point to hide that Daedric entity's identity. But they give us a new motif called Emon Shadow style. Are we trying to hide who's behind all this? I don't know. You guys can answer that to me, but I just don't. Big spoiler. Told you it was coming. New furnishings. Over 200 new furnishings have been added to the game in various sources. You know, purchasing the housing editor or crafting. Associated recipes are now, and additional furnishings can all be found throughout Clockwork City, and additional housing include justice activities, drop monster drops, yada yada yada. New achievements. Clockwork City comes with 40 new achievements, 6 new title unlocks. Morrowind, Battlegrounds, Crazy King, again. Basically, it's the domination maps, but now the flag moves around, which is kind of nice because now people can't really camp as much. They have to move around to keep those things secured. Horns of the Reach, basically two motifs, which is basically the Dreadhorn and the Bloodforge style that you saw there, are now available. Base game update, the Transmutation. Okay, so this is some of the new stuff here. And what it basically requires is you have to go to Transmutation Center. You have to do some stuff that's going to get Transmutation Crystals here. And you can get it through pledges, trials, and arenas, and several PvP sources such as Rewards to the Worthy, Battlegrounds, End of the In-Match, AVA, End of the Campaign Rewards. And they're all account-wide and capped currency, which cannot be banked or traded. They're going to be 200 plus, and you have to use 40 to transmute something into something new. Transmutation also requires having previously researched that desired trait. Jewelry cannot be transmuted. So you have something researched. You're now able to transmutate it to whatever set that you want, and you're going to find that you're going to have new stuff that you can put on top of this here. Is this big? It's somewhat big. It's going to be so that you can have any set made into any style or any any trait that you want. May change up some metas. I'm going to be trying out something that I was curious about myself here. And in addition to that, I'm kind of interested if it's going to change a few other metas too. But we'll see. Also, guys, I really hope that some of you did not destroy your VMA weapons if it didn't have the right trait, because this makes it so that you can take any of those and change it over. That's kind of good. Trait tracker. Along with the ability to change traits, we now equip the tooltip with an icon that communicates the trait status. So, can research, ornate, intricate, or trait change. Icon, no trait researched. So you can now view the inventory of this, and this replaces one add-on that I use myself and makes it a lot easier to track if the items can be or can't be researched. Crafting writ turn insights now are universal. So basically, you can take those crafting writs that you used to have and turn them only into one location and turn them in anywhere. 2 new houses, which is kind of nice. The Observer Priory, located in Clockwork City, Silthisil's Design, Mountain Laboratory. So, again, it's a nice area here inside Clockwork City. And then Pariah's Pinnacle, located in Rothgar. So, another orc type home. This is kind of nice because they talked about this previously. They're going to be adding in the new DLC houses at some point, but they never indicated when. But now they're starting to put it in there. So if you have the DLC and you like the DLC, you can actually find stuff in the houses that you actually like. And they're pretty good with the styles that they put in with it. Champion point increase. The champion point cap has been raised another 30 points, raising the total to 690. For your low players, if you're worried that this means you're going to be even more ostracized, well, guess what? Every time that they up this number, it becomes easier to level up champion points. Because basically the calculations are based on the cap versus the average and where everyone is, and they bump the rate of experience that you get for low levels. New templates, which I'm not going to bore you with. This is just basically what the templates that we get for this stuff here. We'll make one here while we get into PTS. Art and animation. Some of the armor might look different. Yep. Transmutation. After running a dungeon or trial, and group is attempting to change the trait. Buy not pickup. Oh yeah. Basically, this is telling us not to try changing anything that's not already bound to us. If it's bound on if it's bind on pickup and we try changing it, we can actually crash. But, of course, that's the joy of PTS. We get to test things out when things are broken. I wonder how many people have already posted that things are broken about that. Asylum Sanctorium. You may notice that your significant client performance drop when you have first time at St. Ohms. Uses the Gust of Steam ability. This will be fixed in first patches. Yep. Housing. Yeah, it has some bugs in that. Alliance War PvP. Battlegrounds are... Oh, this is a bad one, unfortunately. Battleground queues are now divided by 10 to 49 and 50. This means if you only have level 50 players playing against level 50 players. That's a good thing because we're already getting people that are way too low coming into other high level champion or non-champion point, but after champion point level queues. And just making it so that team that had like 2 or 3 with one 660, that 660 was just out of it. There's nothing they could do with that team at all, especially when they're going against premates. However, the kicker is a second point here, which is now level 50 Battleground queue is now CP enabled. That means that you now have some of the most cancerous builds running in Battlegrounds. Don't like that idea at all. They should have kept it separate or simply kept CP out of Battlegrounds entirely. Battlegrounds works a lot better, and a lot of the stuff in PvP works a lot better when CP is not enabled. CP enabled stuff helps in certain cases, but only if you're top level CP. Now you're going to have people that are only 660 or no 690 making the best use of Battlegrounds. Anyone that's below that probably should just avoid Battlegrounds. I have to be honest. Like at least in open world PvP, you can join servers that are non-CP related. Battlegrounds now though, it's CP enabled. That's not good. Capture the relic integrations and interactions now changed. There's a brief animation where the interaction will pick up the relic in the wild or at home base. The relic is still captured by moving near the relic with an enemy relic. Okay. Added 5 new achievements to Battlegrounds. Audio, okay. Combat gameplay for Warden specifically. Deceptive Predator, Falcon Swiftness. The morph now increases the duration to 14 seconds in addition to gearing and minor evasion. So the reason for this is the change of comprehensive the morph abilities to additional efficiency. Deceptive Predator's minor evasion will only give 5% dodge chance, while Bird of Prey's minor berserk gives 8%. Alright. Green Balance, Nature's Grasp. Increases the range of this ability and morphs to 28 meters from 22 meters. Increases the match's range, or increasing this matches the range of other heal abilities in the game to make it easier to target allies who are spread out. Right. Bursting Vines, Nature's Grasp morph. Increase the speed of this projectile as morph by 100% and increase the heal of this morph by 10%. So it's a burst heal. We significantly increase the travel speed to help fulfill the role that's saving of roll saving and a low health ally. This heal is less than Rush Ceremony, but it's cheaper cost. And then Winter's Embrace, Frozen Gate. This ability and morphs now allow you to have up to 3 gates active at one time from 1. This initial, the initial spawning of this visual effects now visible to enemies. So basically, you can now cover 3 different exits with 3 different gates, and everyone's going to come to you using that. And it's basically a Fury grip, but you set a trap down and they come to you when you're trying to do it. And I can see this being useful. At the same time, I see this really abusive though, because now you can cover multiple lanes inside of Battlegrounds where you normally could only cover 1 lane before. We'll see if it's going to be great though. I'm a little concerned though with the distance that you can have this, that you could just easily put this down anywhere that somebody could come into an area and immediately put it onto that person. Warden's fixes and improvements, and your companions' bidding edge. Reduce the intensity of the visual effect. Blue Betty fixed the issue with the morph was not removing negative effects from you if you had more negative effects on you. Okay. Green Balance, Fungal Growth, fixing the issue with its visual effects. Okay. Winter's Embrace, Frozen Gates, fixing the issue with the visual effects. Again, visual effects. Delves Monsters, I know you guys aren't interested in too much in that. Houses, other stuff to fix, quests. Dark Brotherhood, adjust the Blade of Woe, so you're less likely to become stuck in things, which is nice, because I always did get stuck in things. Exploration. Combat and gameplay in the base game. Okay, so we're getting some updates to the base game as well as the DLC here. So, general. Reduce the duration of the stun applied to you when you're knocked off your mounts by 2 seconds from 3 seconds. You now gain crowd control immunity when the stun expires. While there still should be some risk while running around on a horse, we feel 3-second penalty is too long for the current combat pace. That's good. Only issue I have with this is they need to do something about the soft CC. If you've ever been on a horse and somebody comes up and does, we saw it the other night. Somebody cast Agony on us from the Nightblade line. As soon as they cast that on us, we couldn't get off our horse, we couldn't break free, we couldn't do anything at that point. It basically locked us on our horse until somebody came up to hit us or the ability ran off. They really got to fix that part. That's been in the game for a long time. It's annoying. And basically why people do that is a scout will go up and snare somebody they really want to get in there. Then they'll get an entire warband around that one person and just beat the person to death. Dragonite. Ardent Flame. Cauterize. The speed of this projectile and its morph has been increased. Increases the speed of this morph by 50%, and the projectile can now target the casting Dragonite. So they want to make the build more universally useful for both group and solo play. In addition, they sped up the projectile to minimize solutions where the allies would die before before a life-saving heal arrived. Interesting, but still, no one's going to use Cauterize. Most healers never use Cauterize. It just doesn't fit a meta inside both PvE or PvP. They got to have a lot more healing to have it be useful, I feel. Earthenheart, Petrify. This ability is morphed no longer give a 30-second disorient. Instead, it gives a 2.5 second stuns that cannot be blocked or dodged. And it can be placed on multiple targets. We want to reduce the cost of this ability and its morphs by approximately 23%. So they're basically differentiating this from Stonefist a bit, which both stun enemies. The cost reduction is the lack of damage makes Petrify more cost focused, while Stonefist deals more damage but requires more magicka. Yeah, so Stonefist is a little bit more like Crystal Shards in certain aspects. Petrify is more of a way to get people stunned when they're trying to block or roll dodge around a lot. So one can be blocked, one can deal with basically, this can be dodged or blocked, this one can't, but this one doesn't do much damage. Also, this 30-second disorient removal is probably going to hit a few builds, especially the ones that used Armor of Truth, which would build up a lot of extra damage on the other end. Shifting Standard. Dragonite Standard Morph. This morph is now increased the duration of the standard to 25 seconds, and the standard can now be shifted an unlimited amount of times. Shifting the standard no longer refreshes the duration or the cost of this morph at the same time as the base ability. So, previously how it was with the Dragonite standard morph, you had to cast it, wait the approximate time, and make sure that you recast it right before it ended to get the best benefit from it. Poor design, because if you're trying to do a DPS rotation, you may or may not have to dodge roll or do something else in this. The shifting standard now makes it a little bit better, but the important thing is not so much for PvE side, but for PvP, because people always try getting out of standards or out of any AoE. The shifting standard now makes it a much better PvP meta, in my opinion, and this is going to be much more useful for Dragonites when they're trying to keep people inside that standard area. So, overall, Dragonite stuff, I like it. The Cauterize, again, Cauterize doesn't help us at all. Earth and Heart Petrify, it's good for people who are using it, right? But it's going to hurt the people who are using this, people who are using the Disorient for other stuff. Nightblade, Shadow. Manifestation of Terror, aspect of Terror morph. This morph now fears up to 6 enemies per trap, up to 2. And the trap no longer triggers if crowd control immune enemies walk over it. The enemy can now see the initial projectile of the mark of the trap's location. This is good. Mass Hysteria. The morph no longer fears an additional enemy, but only fears the same amount of enemies as the base, 2 enemies. It continues to inflict minor maim as a morph effect. So basically the distinguishing between the two. Mass Hysteria gets instant fear with a stronger debuff. Aspect of Fear gives more but delayed but more targets. Kind of like the Manifestation of Terror. The only issue with that I have with this is it fears up to 6 enemies per trap, up from 2, but somebody has to step on it to trigger it. So how are you going to get 6 people to step on this trap at once? They're going to have to see it cast on the ground and stand in it while it's activating. That's one thing I think of. The other is that they are all stacked up so close together it causes it, I guess. Maybe. Mass Hysteria is still as overpowered as fuck and still going to be used by a lot of people, by a lot of Nightblades, I feel, because what do they typically do? They come out of stealth, they instantly teleport behind the back. They cast Mass Hysteria, so if they're blocked or if they wanted to get a double CC in there, they can do that. And then they just proceed to kill a person, like they always do. So this is going to be much different here. This only means, though, that like if one person's like in the middle of like 4 people, you're not gonna go ahead and fear those other people. You're going to fear up to 2 people at once. Though the issue I could see with this is, how is it fearing the 2 people? Is it based on who's closest to you? Or is it like some of the other AoE stuff there that only affects randomly 2 people inside the area? That's one issue I do have with some of this here. You have abilities like this and it doesn't quite say like, oh, it's the closest person. That's where issues come up. Siphoning. Agony. The ability's morph is now an ally targeted spell that heals over time and damages you for 50% of the amount healed. We also renamed this ability to Malevolent Offering. Malevolent Wreath, Agony Morph. This morph now grants minor mending, which deals damage to you and has been renamed to Healthy Offering. Prolonged Suffering. This morph is now decreased from the amount of self-inflicted damage over 35% of amount of health and has been renamed Shrewd Offering. So this is a redesign of the Agony line. It's morphs to go along with the Siphoning. House Nightblades to fill a healing role in a unique way. It synergizes with other Siphoning abilities that let you steal health at, like Strife for Siphoning Strikes. You can also take the transfer into that transfer the health to your allies. Like Cauterize, this ability is self-cast. Since you're taking damage each time it heals, the total number returned is less efficient than casting to other eyes instead. Agony, now known as Malevolent Offering, now a powerful heal that only damages you and the target is actually healed, but be careful, you can kill your character with this ability. Soul Siphon, increase the damage that the ally can now travel away from before the heal can tether snaps from 25 meters up from 20 meters. So let's talk Agony. I like this. This is an interesting change to it. This is going to basically make it a little bit more like a Blood Mage was in Vanguard. Some people are probably going to not use this because, again, it doesn't fulfill a DPS meta, or sorry, heal meta, but it's an interesting way to do healing now. I'm interested to see if they're going to have something else that synergizes with this to the for the health loss to do more healing on top. Maybe it can give more ultimate back, or maybe there's going to be other sets you can run with this. Let's say you run Troll King with this, right? So Agony now deals that 50% amount of health damage, but can also run with Troll King, so now you're below 50% health heal, or no, it's only 50% healed, so never mind that. Well, Troll King would still be interesting, though. So you trigger Troll King off of this, and then you're also giving that heal off to somebody else who may not have good health regeneration. It'd be an interesting change to that meta. But are people going to use this in trials or in dungeons? I doubt it. Like, most people don't want to do damage to your healer or get the healer killed based on a healing ability like this. So, I don't know. It looks interesting. I'm excited to see they kind of went with this direction of it. Kind of, you know, healing somebody while also offering something to weaken yourself. That part of it I like. I'm just not sure if it's good enough to make it so it's actually useful inside of PvE or PvP at this point. Probably needs some more tweaking, in my opinion. Alright, Sorcerer, Dark Magic. Crystal Blast. Increases splash damage of the morph by approximately 25%. We want this morph to be more worth the time spent casting, so we're increasing the area effect damage and make it worth the risk to throw into a pack of enemies. Not going to do it. People are still going to go Crystal Frags. Crystal Frags is the meta because, one, it's insta-cast when it's used properly, so it generates more damage. In addition to that, it also deals more damage single target, which is where people really have a concern. AoE damage is just not a concern because typically people can heal themselves up much more than the damage they've done. Approximately 25%? Not enough. If you wanted to make Crystal Blast more interesting to us, I will say it this way. Make it so that if people are in a certain range of that Crystal Blast, it scales up the same way that proximity detonation scales up based on how many people are around the person that has proximity det on them. That would be one way to get this to really increase the damage. Like, can you imagine, like, if it scales up like 5% per person per area, or 25% per person per area, then that would actually be useful. Like, maybe cap it off at 6 and, like, it increases 25% past the first 2 people. That's a Zerg killer. That makes it a lot more interesting. People would then be using this as a hard cast Crystal Frag now instead of using the other. But 25%, not enough. Rune Prison. The ability in this Morrison now 30%, no longer does a 30-second disorient. Change, yep. Instead, it does a 2.5 stun, can now be blocked or dodged, and it can now be placed on multiple targets. Same thing as the DK Fossilized now. Rune Cage, this morph now deals damage to the enemy, and the stun lasts for a duration. Defensive Rune, place a buff on you that will stun the next enemy that damages you. Similar to Petrify, we want to change Disorient to a stun while retaining the current functionality and make it more useful situations. That's fine. I just have issues that this is now a lot more like Fossilize and doesn't make it seem as interesting. Templar. Okay, Dawn's Wrath. Eclipse. This ability is morphed now return damage whenever the affected enemy casts a direct damage attack. It still grants crowd control immunity when the effects of the end can now be removed from break free. Eclipse can now be placed on unlimited amount of target enemies in the baseline. So, this used to be working on projectiles. They now make it on direct damage abilities instead. So this is going to make it a lot more useful in general, especially if people aren't paying attention. Total Dark. This morph will now heal you when the target casts directed damage abilities. Unstable Core. This morph is as area effect damage when the effect ends. So they gave it like soft crowd control ability, preventing some abilities from allowing others. Yada yada yada. This I feel is going to be much more useful when you're having a Nightblade that's really good at animation canceling. They're going to be damaging themselves and healing up the group a lot more. So yeah, this will probably be a lot more useful for PvP, I think. PvE side, possibly. There's a few enemies that are kind of fast on their damage, and Eclipse going back and returning damage is actually kind of useful. Don't know if this is going to affect the meta in general for PvE, but we'll see. Solar Barrage, Solar Flare Morph. This morph now has a cast time that matches the base ability, which now causes you to pulse point blank area effect every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. So they wanted the ability, the unique destruction staff ability. So they wanted this ability to feel unique from the destruction staff ability impulse and require less cast when it was in area effect situations. Okay, so they just want it more unique than the Gesture Ultimate. Understandable. Weapon, bow, acid spray. Increase the damage over time for this morph by approximately 65%. That's good because this damage was just kind of crap, to be honest. Don't know if this is enough to change it though. Base combat fixes and improvements. Update the information of the elemental effect status effects in the help menu. Fix issues where you can revive and immediately cast the abilities they had queued up right before your character died. This is going to be really nice because how many people have like died and then like as soon as they get right back up, boom, your ultimate. It's like, I'm already dead. Why do I want a Nova on the floor? Why do I now want to cast this ability here when we have to reset? That was so freaking annoying. But this is good. Ardent Flame, Unrelenting Grip. Fixed an issue with this morph would not refund the abilities cost if it failed to pull the target due to the blocking the attack. I like this. This was one of the annoying things you're doing in PvP. You can't always see when people are blocking, and when you're trying to pull people in from a group, you're trying to do it repeatedly on people, and if you had somebody that was blocking, you just eat up all your magicka. So this is a good change here. Draconic Power. Fix the issue where rank 1 in this ability you can use to earn synergy. Makes sense. Sorry, just question in chat. ESO play. Is it okay if I just pay for ESO Plus, or do you need to spend money to enjoy the game? Just play the game again. I usually don't recommend ESO Plus unless you're 30 or 40, but just play the base game. You don't need to get into that other stuff there unless you really want to get into the DLC. Enjoy the base game. You're gonna have plenty of stuff that you can do just base game side. But I should also say though, if you do want to get into the DLC, you can get ESO Plus, and you can play through all that content and any level as well. The reason I say 30 or 40 though is because by that time you're kind of committed into the character, and at that point, yeah, most people would want to get themselves into DLC. Okay, sorry. Now back to some of the other stuff here. Path of Darkness. Fix issues with the visual effect of this ability and the morph for not aligning. Okay. Shadow Cloak. Fix an issue with the casting this ability as morphs would erroneous display an error sex. You cannot use the ability right now. Okay, good. Soul Siphon. Fix an issue with rank 1 of this ability. Has a 10 meter radius instead of 15 meters. All good stuff. Solo element or group element? Solo element. You're really good with solo elements to it, and Endgame has a lot of group element. Sorcerer. Daedric Tomb. Daedric Mines. Fixing an issue with the placement of the mines created in this morph were not aligned with the group-based reticle. Okay. Storm Calling. Fixing an issue with the multiple players cannot maintain execute explosion debuff on the same target. Okay. Two-handed. Forceful. Damage dealt by this passive no longer double dips in damage modifiers and will no longer critically strike. That kind of sucks. The double dip I don't mind, but the critically strike that was helpful. That's gonna really kill the splash damage of that. Stampede, fixing an issue with this morph could apply multiple snare debuffs. I'm glad they got rid of that. Thriving Chaos, Lacerate Morph, fixing an issue where the visual effects of the morph were persisting longer than the actual duration. That's good. Bow, Aerospray, fixing an issue with some of the visual effects of the abilities. The morphs were not aligned. Okay. Bombard, fixing an issue with the debuff with icon applied is incorrectly. That's okay. Elemental Ring, fixing an issue with the morph was not causing alchemical poisons to proc. Good. Major Guild, Shooting Star, fixing an issue with the morph could be cast on dead enemies. But still, did you fix the double CC with Shooting Star? Please. Meteor, they gotta fix it. Meteor is like one of my banes on this channel if you've seen it before, because I'll CC break out of the Meteor and then I'll get tossed in the air as I'm CC breaking. It's just they gotta fix that so bad. Undaunted, the skill line now goes up to 10, and unlocking rank 10 now grants the title Undaunted. Okay. I don't know why that was such a big deal for some people, but they did it. Assault, continuous attack. The bonus applied is now by this passive is now removed when you leave Cyrodiil. Good to see. Support, Purge. Fixing an issue with this buff was applied, or the ability of this monster to the reduce to. I can't pronounce it. Fixing an issue with the buff applied by this ability and its morphs that reduce the duration of negative effects could stack. All right. Champion system, the Action Knock. Riposte. Update this and pass its abilities and tooltips to better indicate its proc condition. Okay, so they updated some of that. Itemization balance. So this is where people start crying. So, in addition to the new Asylum weapons, they're now going to be affecting the Master and Maelstrom unique enchantments. So, they basically took all the Master weapons and now have it as a set bonus, a one-piece bonus, or sometimes two-piece bonus, I believe. And instead of having it as a glyph buff, that means you can now apply glyphs. However, some people, they also reapplied and changed some other stuff on top of that, so you're no longer getting the weapon damage, health, or spell damage buffs that you were getting. On top of this, let's some of the things that have changed here. Titanic Cleave, Master Two-Handed. They increased the damage to 2,000 from the 688. That's good. Puncture Remedy. Increase the amount of healing from the puncture to 2,500, and also gives you spell and physical resistance equal to the amount healed for 3 seconds. I think that's really overpowered, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a meta at any point in time. Because if you have to have a Sorting Board on, that kills other builds. So I'm not sure if it's good or not at this point. However, it just sounds really good seeing that they're making it so it's going to heal more and also giving spell and physical resistance. Oh, is it a PvE meta? Depends on who you talk to. I think it's a PvE meta for 4-man content. For trial content, not really. Stinging Slashes, Master Dual Wield. Increase the damage bonus for Twin Slash Bleed to 1,500 tick from 515. This might be interesting here. I think that this may make it so it's a lot better for shoot. Sorry. I think this make it a little bit better for people that are trying to run health regeneration builds inside PvP. Maybe also give a little bit more healing on other stuff here, but could you combine this with the new Asylum weapons? This is the question. Like, do you have to have 2 of these on, or could you have 1 and 1 on? If you could have 1 and 1 on and still get both benefits, that might be kind of sick. We'll have to take a look at that on PTS, though. Destructive Impact. Increase the damage bonus from Destructive Touch direct damage to 1,500 from 516. Not great. Like, you're getting 1,500 each tick here with Twin Slash, but Destructive Touch direct damage is only 1,500? It seems like this should be, like, I don't know, 5,000? Something more significant, I think. Rampaging Slash, Maelstrom one-handed shield. Low slashes now cause your next fully charged heavy attack within 5 seconds to deal an additional 2,000 magic or stamina. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's see why here. fully charged heavy attack. You're going to use that in PvE, but your PvE side, you're blocking for most of your trial content, and in most PvE, like most 4-man content, you don't use this that much. So it doesn't make sense there. Now, PvP side, fully charged heavy attacks never register. Somebody's either dodging them, blocking them. You don't do heavy attacks that much inside PvP, simply because they never connect. You have a lot more burst going through that. So, and if you need the magicka and stamina inside PvP, you're most likely dead anyways. So, yeah, I don't think that's good. Finally, the precise regeneration, Maelstrom Resto. Increase the amount of magicka and restored by regeneration critically from regeneration critically heals from 800 from 481. That might actually be helpful because it's giving a lot of magicka back. The following patch notes were part of the updates to update 15, but they were called down from clarity to avoid confusion. Now drops all sets. Yeah. This is basically saying that in addition to getting these master weapons and VMA weapons, you're now going to get also these sets here in different weapons at the end of the boss, at the end of the rounds, or the arena. Itemization fixes improvements. General fixes the issue with the spell. The reduction of spell and weapon damage applied by weakening enchantment being treated as a buff instead of a debuff. Fixing issue where the visual effects of Fury weapon enchantment were displayed incorrectly. Item 6, reduce the intensity and frequency of visual effects from Mighty Chewed and Slimecraw. Alright. Defiler. The monster summon for this item set now spawns next to the enemy you critically hit instead of spawning next to you, which makes sense because Defiler was kind of crappy because it'd have to spawn and then travel to the enemy that's eating up the time frame that it was in there. In addition to that, it always have trouble pathing. So spawning it next to the person is good, but still has a lot of counterplay for that person to get by it. Earthgore, this item proc is now sends a friendly telegraph to your allies. Alright. Fasala's Guile, fix an issue with the item proc with aggro neutral monsters. Swordslinger, fix an issue with the item says bonus was not modifying momentum skill. Okay. Torix Pact, fix an issue with this item set bonus was not applying to poisoned weapon enchantments. Makes sense. And Viper Sting, fix an issue with this damage from this item set proc could be blocked. Art animation, fixed basically a bunch of stuff here, figures, etc. Audio, fixed some audio issues, combat and gameplay, monsters, yep. Crafting economy, crown store. Exploration items, itemization. Merchants now will also empty soul gems. You can use the soul trap abilities or soul lock passives to fill these gems. Makes sense. The Wabbajack no longer grants ultimate when used. We only have one quest where this is used. Why is it such an issue? Fixing issue where allow players to loot multiple copies of the same quest item. Collectibles. Icon for Mudball. Petals for the Cherry Blue Blossom twigs. And if you do things to the whole book recording thing. Housing. Fixing some names. Miscellaneous. Worked hard at in this update we've been hard at work on improving the performance of the client. We've overhauled the client handles the animation, significantly reducing the memory requirements. Additionally, we've also made significant optimizations to the scene graph. Together, these two additions have resulted in significant gains of frame rate, improving the overall load times of areas with many characters and/or buildings. So, people with lower end machines should be seeing an improvement. Fixed quests, fixed some of the UI stuff. And hi YouTubers. Hi Jamie. So that's all the stuff here in the current stuff that really people are interested in. If you have any questions in these or are interested about this, these are the 3.20 patch notes here on PTS, here on the ESO forums in the public test server forums. You can read all this yourself. You don't have to listen to me talk to you unless you're just kind of chilling out and listening to a podcast and need something to put you to sleep at night. Anyways, I'm Hero of None. We'll take a look at some of the stuff on the PTS in just a little bit. And for you guys on YouTube, I'll catch you later.